It lit on the first try, which is unusual for an incense stick with me. Vasha Arts, hello, how are you? Welcome. I've lit the incense, and I was looking quickly through this really interesting thing. I'm great, Vasha, thank you. And I was just going to read a quick thing. There's a guy who is no longer living, but Ram Dass, a lot of people will remember that name, like in meditation circles and such things. So Ram Dass and his book, Be Here Now, basically, is what it is. And I opened it up to one of the pages, and there's a thing in there where he says, what you've got to do is create in yourself an absolutely calm center where it's always right here and now. It is just light. It is just isness. Thought I would just mention that quickly. That's a quote from his book. So, here we are with our tarot deck and our trusty coffee, always ready. And now, actually, we can take a quick look. I noticed a little blurb over on tarot on the Reddit. And I'm not going to leave this incense burning too long. Otherwise, I'll smoke myself out. Okay, Vasha, I see you in the queue. I'm going to pull you up and put you into the active thing in just a second. I just wanted to quickly pop over and look at a thing I found. And it sort of caught my eye. Let me kill the incense. That's all we need is just a little bit of incense going. But what it is there's the tarot Reddit thing. And, okay, so this person is saying on the forum, basically, tarot has been excellent in reading energy, but has never come true for me. Tarot has been a very insightful tool in reading the current energies as well as the most likely outcomes in terms of potential. But that's it, really. None of it has ever come true for me. Whether others read for me or I read for myself, it seems to confirm what I've been already feeling or sensing intuitively, but has never been on point when I ask about a likely outcome. For example, I may ask, is communication coming in from this person? And I'll get a 6 of Wands, Knight of Swords, and the Chariot, but then nothing ever happens in real life. And then some people are commenting, and someone says, I noticed it helps me validate what I'm already feeling, because yup, no predictions for me either, but accurate with how I feel. It can get crazy accurate with confirming how I feel about something or how I sense someone else feels, but nothing more than that. And I sort of lean toward that in general, when you look to tarot for prediction, if you're waiting for something to come true that it says will happen, you're setting yourself up for disappointment, because tarot is really more of a psychological medium. It's more of a thought and mind opener, an expander of consciousness, really. And so what happens with tarot is, of course, it can accidentally, yes, it can predict something. Anything can. You can flip a coin and say, if it's heads, then tomorrow I will find a brand new favorite dish at a local restaurant. Sure. And you can occasionally be surprised and pleasantly so. But in general, I wouldn't look to tarot as a prediction mechanism, but it's more of mind alterer in that it can give you ideas that you can relate to the question you're asking, your problem or your situation. And you can say, how should I maybe start thinking about this? Or are there other ways to think about this thing than I have? Instead of asking, is this person going to definitely come back into my life in a month? Because a better prediction mechanism in a situation like that is, if, let's say, you're interested in someone coming back into your life and you do a tarot reading and the cards don't necessarily say yes or no, that person will be here. But what they will say is, here are some things for you to think about that could potentially make it more likely for this other person to come back. In other words, if you do some thinking about this and arrange things in a certain way or change behaviors in a certain way, then you can definitely start making the scenario more conducive to someone coming back. And so that's how it sort of it suggests. It makes things more conducive. It lets the current flow through the wire more easily, is what tarot really accomplishes. So that's why I tend in readings, when things get very specific, looking for a specific answer about something that will or will not happen, I tend to start focusing more on the person asking the question and the ideas and conversations going on and actions that person is taking, or things for them to consider. Because when you start considering alternatives as they can be presented simply by another person, you can often run into a person somewhere and they will have a suggestion that you haven't thought of, and that all by itself opens things up and can make a good outcome more likely for you. It all depends. But so that's why that post caught my eye, because I was like, okay, yeah, I see what this person's dealing with. Because many people, you want tarot to be a fortune teller. You kind of want it to tell you, oh, wow, I can depend on this, it's going to happen. But then you set yourself up for disappointment, and you find yourself losing confidence in the tarot because you tried to make it be a very simple prediction mechanism, which can be fun. That can be a fun game to play. Absolutely. People can have fun at parties with that, whatever. You can amuse yourself with that. No problem. But making definite predictions in real serious tarot has drawbacks and can weaken the real function of the tarot. So just wanted to hit that point because it caught my eye earlier. Mordecai, hello. Everyone is well here. I always feel better when I stream doing this. It tends to make me enthusiastic. And let me hear, Vasha, I just put you into the, I guess we can call it the hot seat. You're on the tarot hot seat. Let me switch to the tarot table again. And I am going to begin preparing the deck. And you can ask me any way you like. Whatever it is that you are pondering, you can put that in chat. And in a minute, I will have gotten these cards ready to leap out of the pile, and we will see what comes as a message out of these cards. It's so funny, you know, when you think about tarot, and I always have to remind people, you've got 78 cards, right? When you shuffle a tarot deck, because of the 78, this is just really, actually, it's basic math, really. The likelihood of rearranging the 78 cards of a tarot deck through a random shuffle, the likelihood of that random shuffle reproducing the exact ordering of the cards that's ever happened before, anywhere in the world through all of history, is less likely than all of the atoms that make up the entire universe. The math, the number is so large, and you can Google this, by the way. If you look up the math, deck of cards, the numbers are almost as big with a poker deck. They're larger with a tarot deck, obviously. But so any 78 things that you have, if you randomly shuffle them or order them, reproducing the exact arrangement is that kind of a number. It's massive scale number, so it will never happen. So basically, anytime you shuffle a deck of cards like I'm doing here, this stack of the arrangement here that we're pulling the cards from is unique in all of world history. And just knowing that makes you kind of wonder, like, oh, so that's kind of interesting. That means that these cards, nobody's ever seen this arrangement before, and if they sat here for 1,000,000 years shuffling, they would not see this particular exact arrangement that I have in my hand right now of the order of the cards. All right, Vasha, I have shuffled and I have talked about the math of shuffling. And now I'm looking at your question, and you are hopefully on the path for a career change. Am I on the right path? That is one of the big significant life questions that all of us present to ourselves at times. It's one of those things, and sometimes it's so hard to figure it out because we have obligations to ourselves that we think, well, I started out doing this, or I studied this or that, and I can't change. I can't, I've put so much energy into it, and there's all kinds of things. Or I want to change, but I feel guilty about changing because I started out this way, and it can be really confusing. So let's do some bopping around with the cards here until we get something that look okay. Here we go. Here's our major statement. Here's our sort of fading influence. And here's what we're going to try and point toward. Now, let's take, coins, very practical, very work-oriented, very money-oriented. King reversed. What this can be telling us is that there are practical issues around work. There are decisions to make with work and how a career is going. And the king is really good at those. The king has a lot of authority and power and can make these decisions wisely and for everyone's benefit, of course, for his or her own. And the king here can also represent an influencer, an influencing factor, or a person who has some sway over your decision, some influence on your thinking. But the tendency in these readings with tarot is to focus on the questioner. Hi, Cucumber. How are you? I see you have joined. So Vasha, the reversal here indicates basically it's confirming your curiosity and perhaps a little bit of confusion and doubt about which direction to go. If a career change, if it's coming and you're wondering about the path being the correct one for you, that can sometimes have you making decisions from a doubtful, from less strength than you're used to. And the king being present here is indicating to you that you have this. This is in you, this power and strength, this ability to be decisive and to make intelligent, wise, effective decisions. It's all there. It's just it's maybe a little off track at the moment. That's why it's reversed. And so here we need to look on the left, and you get justice, which is very balanced scales of justice, of course. But justice also comes equipped with the sword. And so the balance is part and parcel with power, with a form of authority. And that balance now, and justice, of course, implies fairness, being just to yourself, doing the right thing for yourself, what you know you need. And if you're having doubt about your path, you can feel like you're in a weak place, decision-making in that area. And you can also start to feel like you're betraying what you were meant to do, or what you're betraying expectations that can happen. If a parent had an expectation, or your younger self had an expectation, and now maybe you're altering that or changing it. These are difficult things to deal with, and there are practical matters and other parts of your life they affect, and that's why the Justice card is showing up reversed. However, the Justice card is a major card. That's a big, heavyweight part of your personality. And it means, again, this is part of you. This natural ability to do things in a fair, just, balanced, considered manner. That power plays right along with the King of Coins' very practical sense in you. And the confusion you're having is being acknowledged by the reading, but the reading wants you to remember you have this natural balance. In other words, you're not easily unsettled by any of this because you're always going to come back into balance at some point. That's why it's here. Temporarily, it's indecision. Here you end up with the Five of Cups. And what this means now is, okay, we're having these problems. Look over here in the next little while, the next week or two. Look and examine your heart, your feelings. What has compelled you so far in your work up to this point? What has brought you here? What is it about your work that you've done that you love, that is you following your heart? Or is that missing up until now? The cards want you to examine your heart because they know you're having difficulty in a practical sense with decisions and making things balance out. So they want you to kind of take your mind a little off of practical issues and swing it over to the heart. That's the Five of Cups. And the Five always has a sense of imbalance built in it because you have the Four that's very stable, four things, four posts in the ground making the foundation of your house, right? Four walls of a room. Very solid, but then that fifth thing comes bopping along, and it unsettles the 4 cups on the corners, okay? Because it's like, uh-oh, there's a new thing here. There's a new idea. There's a new possibility. There's a new path that's presented itself, and it's unsettling. But the 5 of Cups also always represents that unsettled element, that 5th element, like that old movie, the 5th element is very important because it comes in to destabilize the security that you're in for a reason. And that destabilization can end up taking you in whole new directions that are vastly rewarding. And because it's the cups, it means that the tarot wants you to find what makes you feel best, what makes you love your work and want to do the work, what makes you joyful about working. Not necessarily so much what makes you feel like, okay, I've taken care of this, I've taken care of that, I've made this very balanced decision, and the money is all perfectly understood. Everything is going to be a significant raise. The card is saying, actually, right now, it might be important to consider that heart thing. What makes your heart soar? Does this new path do that, or does it not? That's what it's telling you. And if you focus on the heart and allow this 5th element to open up and really examine how it makes you feel, then these other practical issues here will do their natural turn and take what they are, become what they are, which actually becomes very powerful. So by focusing on the heart and seeing this, saying to yourself, this is what makes me feel best. I understand there are other drawbacks, but what makes me feel like jumping out of bed every morning and getting out there and doing the job, this is what it is, and that is what will make this king energy and all of its power and confidence and all of this balanced life over here and all of this feeling like you've done the right thing over here, these will naturally settle into their proper arrangement. So check out how the new path really hits your heart and makes you feel. It's very, very important. And that kind of thing, and I speak from experience here because I'm probably a bit older, and it's a very important thing to be very honest with how a path of a career makes you feel, not what it gives you to be able to tell other people you're doing, not what it gives you to be like, bragging and that kind of. It's how it makes you feel every single day is what the key is. You're pursuing an art career, again, which you didn't succeed at before. Yep. Pay your bills. You can't, the art, it's an age-old, it's like an age-old climb. It's a hill to climb when you're doing any kind of art, because there's always that conflict where you're like, okay, I'm going to do this to pay my bills. And every time I do this thing that I have to pay my bills, it makes me tired and it takes my time and it makes it harder for me to do the art. And that's the thing that every artist has to solve for themselves. It's a unique solution for every single person. But this 5 of Cups is a key factor. If from this reading, all you do is remember the 5 of Cups, like you have another tarot deck and you just grab the 5 of Cups out of it, doesn't matter which deck. It's just a reminder. You put it in your pocket, you carry it around for a while, and then you look at it every now and then, you go, that 5 of Cups thing, I got to remember, do what makes me really want to be doing it. And we can't all be so lucky all the time doing that. Reality comes in, of course. We're talking about, in general, in most cases, what you're doing. You try to lean toward the Five of Cups, toward, I'm going to follow this even though it is a risk for me, and even though I feel a little nervous about it. The fact is, my heart just rises when I do it. So I'm going to go that way. I hope that has some meaning for you. Let's see. I have Cucumber. Cucumber, you're in. You're welcome, Vasha. Okay. So a deity, and I always sort of think of, it's a nice way to think of the sort of the power of the tarot as being connected to a deity. Some people will say, it's like a universal, like cosmic kind of consciousness, or we're accessing some kind of universal power. It doesn't really matter. It's all kind of part of that idea of a deity, communication. All oracles have a connection to that. They're all accessing something that's mysterious. And, it kind of takes things, it elevates things and makes them bigger than us. And so we're trying to access something that we know is much larger than us, that we're just a very small part of this huge thing. And the tarot cards have this hugeness to them because of the incredible possibilities that come out of this. And I was just talking about the whole shuffling thing earlier. Okay, so let's see. Let me do another one of these very loud shuffles. And then we will see what starts jumping out. There's one. Here we go. Oh, no, this one. All right. Cucumber. Let's have a look. Wow. We've got more heart here. And this is the 10. So the 10, when you get a 10, the tarot wants you to know that there's something that's finished, something worth celebrating, something to be aware of, and it has to do with your heart and your feeling and your emotions. There's something that you are now prepared to move into. Something has completed a development, perhaps. There's something that your heart understands a little bit better than it did a week or two or a year ago. And the deity, the power, the universe behind the tarot is trying to point in this direction. Okay, we're talking about feelings now, things you might not even be conscious of, but it's worth celebrating. And it has also been hard. Somewhere in you, there's something that's been a hard, long haul. But now you can accept that something is complete and ready, and you can move forward. And let's have a look here and get more of a flavor. Okay, now we get another 5. This is the 5 of coins, and we are now moving from heart into physical. Being on the left side, it means, okay, we can kind of start leaving this now. This is something that has informed this development, this completion, this something that is ready to evolve. And it's very physical, it's very practical, it has to do with your life, your body, your money, your work, but there's something about your work that has perhaps been a little destabilized. There's been maybe new possibilities coming in. It's always a little disconcerting when those things change. Change. The 5 is change. And it's change that can be a little upsetting and hard to figure out why it's happening now, where it came from, where's it going to end up. But the 5 also presents all of this enormous opportunity, possibility. And this is good because if you're ready for some new development from the 10 here to begin another cycle, then this 5 kind of confirms that. And it brings your heart, your emotions, aiming them down into kind of more of the practical real world to see what's going on there. However, this is something you don't have to really worry about. It's kind of losing its sway over this scenario. And we're pointing more, we're pointing at a 6 of sticks. 6 is harmony. It's communication and sharing. It's love. It's balance. It's the ability to enjoy what you're doing and be really creative, but working that creativity with other people and sharing all of the benefits of it. The 6 is all about, like, if you're in a little village and you've got you got a good crop, you bake biscuits for the whole, bring them out in a big basket and you share the biscuits, you toss them around to people, and you have a big barbecue, over by the barn or something. And that, the 6 is about that kind of community aspect and enjoyment of life. And what it is here with sticks is it gets passionate. It gets very creative, very energized. You're really wanting something. The sticks are full of desire. And so, if you're ready for something new, and it's a very emotional development that's happened, and there's been a little bit of, change going on in practical parts of life, what's coming as a result of that sort of slight, surprise, change that's gone on, what's coming is real enjoyment that you can find in what really inspires you. If you focus on what inspires you and gets you really excited about working, or a person even, the person that excites you, that you want to be with, it's that kind of drive that this card is looking at. And it's saying, yep, follow this, because this leads to a real communal, happy result where, in other words, everyone profits, everyone benefits from what you're going to do in your next stage. And it all has to do with something that you've matured, perhaps, in some emotional way here with this 10 of Cups. With family, you can't do better than a 6. A 6 of sticks with family means that everybody is linking together, sharing, communicating, being open, being effective communication. And the 6, one of the primary words about the 6 is harmony. So you're about to find harmony. And it can involve very passionate forces in your creative life, in your relationship, whatever it is. Leaning into it finds harmony and joy. And if it's family, families can be very passionate. Families can get in the worst fights you've ever seen, but they can also have the best times together. They can go up and down, and it's like waves. And so this indicates that there's very good outcome there for any group, family or work group or whatever it is. You can't really do better than the 6. Natural. I see you there, and you are now next up. I'm going to start the shuffling process. I hope that helps a little bit, Cucumber. Hi, Natural. Go ahead, Cucumber. So you want some clarification. Stay or leave. Well, a 6 is never really suggesting that somebody depart. A 6 of sticks is very harmonious and communal, and communication starts flowing. And Natural, can you give me advice on the relationship? Okay, so the subject is very simply relationship. And so the cards, what will the cards have to say in general about this relationship? I'm giving them a good once over here with shuffling, and now we'll see. One has presented itself already. This one is clinging, and then this one is popping out. Okay. All right. Relationship. Okay. We have the stick showing up as our main image, our primary concern, and the page is kind of a beginner. It's like the beginner in all things, but very enthusiastic, very capable learner is what the page is. That's why there's a water jug thing on here, because the page not only is sort of drinking in everything there is to learn about life at this young stage of development, but the page is also doing the very simple job of supporting the knight and carrying the water for the knight. That's what pages would do. They would carry things for knights. They would bring their shield and armor to them. They would bring their horse out of the stable, and they would put the water pouch, on the saddle, all that stuff. That's what, because pages, many of them wanted to be knights. But so what they do is they do a lot of work very diligently, but they're very ego-free because they want to put themselves in service and learn so that they can develop into something great, like a knight or a king. The page is open, learning. The page absorbs, very receptive, but also eager and active, but also sometimes confused. They don't know yet everything there is to know. So we're talking about a relationship, and the cards are mainly talking to you. And they see that there is learning going on. There's adapting. There's also some confusion, which is normal and natural. And the page is here because the cards are saying, be this person, be new. Acknowledge that you don't understand. Accept that you don't have all the answers and you can't possibly yet, but also accept that you can get there and learn, and there is a lot to learn here. There's more for you to do. And over here on the left, you have the Ace of Coins. This is very physical. And in the relationship realm, the physical, sort of earthy suit of coins can be physical relationship. It can be money. You know, money is often a factor in relationships. It can be your work. In relationships, though, it does tend to represent the physical relationship. Now, the ace here is real, enormous potential, powerful. This aspect of the relationship can be very, very strong. It may not at the moment be totally focused, which is fine. The ace hasn't yet decided exactly which way is best to go. But because you have the page, you're going to figure that out. And the page is not only a page here, but is sticks. And sticks are passion. And when we're talking about relationships, if the sticks arise here, then we're talking about that passion and that instinct to be with someone, whatever it is that draws you toward that person or into that relationship, that passion, that instinct, that flow toward the person. That's what this page is swimming in, all of that. And it's confusing and upsetting at times, but the page is going to figure it out. And the page is going to get there and really master all of this and make it so that all of this energy of a physical relationship or whatever is physical about this relationship becomes something really profound and strong. And in other words, this unfocused energy of the ace is going to build and build and build, and then you're going to find a way to apply it and really enjoy it when this page just gets a little bit more experience here in this relationship. And then we end up here with the 10 of sticks reversed. So we've got a lot of physicality and passion here. Now, the 10 is saying this is where everything sort of comes to completion. And people, you achieve what you really wanted. You find the real profound enjoyment of this creative relationship force that makes you want to be with this person. And when it's reversed, it simply means it's coming. Because it's here, that's why it shows up. But it may take a little longer than you were thinking. And the reason it's going to take a little longer than you were thinking is because of this page thing, that the cards want you to not force yourself through to the end over here as a knight would. If there were a knight card here, it would be much more aggressive about getting through and experiencing the ultimate in your relationship. The cards are saying, no. You don't have to experience the ultimate 10 yet. You don't need to do that yet. You're not ready for that yet. Be the page for a while longer. Not that much longer. Because you'll notice there are no major cards here. There's a court card and there are minor cards. That means these are not long timelines here. This is very short. So just be willing to learn a bit more, observe, see how feelings go. Let the energy build over here. Let that build. Don't worry about it. That's why it's on the left. You can just let that happen and take your time getting here to where the 10 The 10 is where you go, oh, yes, we're totally sealed in this relationship. We did it. We have nothing to worry about what's next. Not there yet. It's okay. Just be the page. In other words, no rush. There's no rush. Relationships, you can't rush relationships anyway. People learn this the hard. We all learn this the hard way. It's so funny. Everybody makes all the same mistakes in relationships all the time, over and over again. It's like nobody ever learns from anybody else. We all have to figure it out, because that's why we're the page. We're all this page. That's what that is. The page just doesn't get it entirely, but wants to. And, it can be a very simple thing, like, relationship. What's the, you get into a relationship with someone, say sort of early on, and you're not sure what you're supposed to agree to. You don't know, do you bring up this or that subject? Is it time for me to discuss, like, are there any other people? I don't want to be all embarrassed about my asking that. You never know what. And so you're kind of fishing around a little bit and trying to figure out where is the relationship. And that's the page. That's this. That's exactly what it is. And it's just saying, don't rush those things. Let yourself be confused. You don't need to figure everything. You don't need to hammer out all the details right away. You don't need to get to the 10 where everything is all like, we did it. We built this relationship. We have an agreement. Everything is done. Don't have to get there quickly. So I hope that has a link to what you might have noticed about your relationship at some point here. And I am nobody to take a relationship advice from. I really do just try to interpret what the cards are suggesting. That's good. If it has a link, that's great then. But yeah, and one of the things I have learned, and reading this for you, these cards for you, reminds me of. It can't help but remind me of things in my own history. And I do know that in general, and maybe men more, maybe, I'm not sure really, can be a little wanting to define things quickly. So we have an understanding right away. But sometimes, you have to be cautious about understandings, because they can lock you into something that isn't entirely real for your. You can then find yourself obligating yourself to a particular form of understanding that isn't entirely what's going on in the feelings, in the heart. It's a very subtle thing, but you have to be careful about trying to be really good at a relationship before you're ready to be good at a relationship. And that's why I really like the page. I think a lot of men could afford to be more like the page in relationships instead of being like, well, I know what we need to do. So, but it's funny, really it's true. Relationships tend to work when people are comfortable talking and communicating. And I would add, they're comfortable talking and communicating in a serious way and being very open, but also they're willing to be a little silly at times. That's what I've found. This deck is getting better and better with the shuffling. I'm kind of liking the way the cards are loosening up. That's the thing. Cards are never at their best when they're brand new. It's funny, man. I have read cards for people like doctors, okay? Doctors. And, you can clarify. Naturel, if you want to clarify anything, you can keep talking about your reading, sure. Because we don't have anyone else yet in the queue. But I've read, like, for doctors, I know people who are doctors, and it's like they've never had a tarot reading before, and they didn't know what to think about it. And so, like, just, like somewhere, like at a party or something on a weekend or something, and I'll do a tarot reading it's amazing the reactions that people have. And how they find like real connection to things. And they are if they're totally new to it, have never experienced a tarot reading before, they're sort of dumbfounded at the way they can draw lines from the reading to things that have been happening with them. It's fascinating to see. If your partner and you will be able to talk tonight and hash everything out. I would say that the page card there, if applied to talking, whether or not you're going to be able to talk, is don't push. The page won't push. The page will be open and receptive to, and will be eager to, and will be available to. But the page won't be pushy, because the page is in that position of, being someone who is not wanting to assert authority yet. You in order to get in the list, you do join. You do ! Join. Let me. I can put this thing up. Hold on. You do it like that. So let's. So the page doesn't want to push for anything, but if it should arise that you do talk, the page will be very receptive. The page doesn't want to insist on anything or push anything. The page takes a much more understanding, and the approach of it's like in conversation when somebody listens really well. When somebody does more listening than they do talking. That's what a page will do. And when they listen, and then they'll ask a question. A page. The page isn't in a position of going, oh, no, what you just said is total nonsense. No, because the page is trying to learn and doesn't have all the answers. So the page will not deny. The page will not be argumentative. The page will say, I don't understand that. Can you tell me? Can you make it easier for me? That's what a page does. So the page never pushes. The page waits. The page takes cues from other people and makes themselves available and listens and asks questions and learns, and doesn't ever try to take the upper hand in any back and forth. So you tried to take the upper? Is that what you mean? You tried to be, in other words, you tried to be king instead of page. Is that what? That's what we do. We all do that. It's not just you. Trust me. That's basically being a human being 101 is what happens. But we have to somehow get to the point where we're like, okay, wait. No, I can't do that. I have to figure out now. Okay, yeah, I see. So I have to figure out how this page thing, and this is funny about the page because you're not in an easy place to talk. You think it's also you can be anything. You could be a president, and you still need to be able to call upon that page at times. You still need to be able to just absorb and learn and not take that sort of I'm in command here, There are people, though, if it'll happen or maybe it won't happen. Well, yeah. Look, that's the thing. In relationships, if you have to force something, this is very much the lesson of the page. If you have to force something, there's going to be a relationship where you realize you don't have to force anything. And then you're going to go, oh, Well, it took a while to get here, but I'm glad I finally did. So if you find yourself forcing things, even if it's like you have to force yourself to be able to get airtime with someone, if it takes a lot of energy to even get in front of a person to talk, that is probably going to be a sign that there could be a lot of energy down the road spent just trying to do very simple, necessary things in a relationship that should not be that much trouble. Page is a very good card to keep in mind because the page settles the ego down. It makes you go, wait, I don't have to be the boss. There's no reason for me to be the boss every day. We can take turns being the boss. I'll be the boss on Wednesday. You be the boss on Thursday. It could go either way. You just don't want to force. You don't want to force it. You never do. It's just, look, it's the same in business. If you have to force a meeting, if you have to beg for a meeting, you probably shouldn't be doing business with them. It's a hard lesson to learn. Usagi. Oh, I see. Okay, you've joined. Hi, Usagi. Let me hit the button here, and you are now right there. And Usagi, you can put your question or your interest in chat, and I'm still shuffling. The shuffle is in progress. Will hard times pass? Let's see. Well, here's an answer just before the tarot chimes in. Hard times always pass. But how they pass is, here we go. How they pass is the really interesting thing. All right, so the card in the middle at the top of the mountain is the main light shining down upon these hard times here. High Priest reversed. Okay, so the High Priest basically has a connection to kind of tradition, very spiritual life. It's a spiritual card. It's a religious card. It's a worship card, but it's also about the idea of communicating these ideas to the world or receiving these impressions, spiritual impressions, and transferring them to the world, to other people. So you can see there's a star there, and there's sort of a screen someone has set up, and there's a little stool on the ground and some sticks, probably used as pointers. So somebody, this high priest, uses this place as sort of a holy place to kind of, make offerings and receive messages, and then sort of formulate them and communicate them to people in the community. That's what they do. So there's a lot of tradition involved, a lot of experience, and it's a major card. So this is a big component in you. this sort of spiritual seeking and this kind of desire or kind of a direction or a natural gravity attraction toward tradition and spiritual things is very important here in these hard times. And the reversal means that the hard times may be distracting you from this element of your personality, of your spiritual self, of your thinking. And if you lose sight of that, or it's not losing, it's sometimes hard practical things in the world, and it can involve anything. It can involve real difficulties with work, feeling like you've lost something, or it can be health problems. Sometimes when someone passes away, like in a family, it can have the opposite effect. It can actually make you less in contact with spiritual things for a time, because you become upset and you look at things and you go, well, that's just totally irrelevant. It doesn't work. It just it doesn't help me. And you lose some connection with what's deeply important to you, really. And that's why this is reversed. But it looks over here, over its left shoulder here, and it says, okay, 2 of sticks, another reversal. This is instinct and passion in the sticks. And the 2 is a coming together and a preparing to do something. Okay? A preparing to be with someone or to do something that you have a drive to some creative energy wants to come out of you, and that's being held up. That's being diminished because some connection with a very, very deep, important part of yourself. This is also, the high priest also has an element of being a teacher. A teacher. If you lose connection with your inner guru, so I hate that word, but your inner teacher, your inner guide, inner spirit guide. There are all kinds of ways to call this. If you lose connection with that, you can then kind of put a lid on your other creative energies here. And then what it says is over here, you've got the 3 of Swords reversed. And the 3 of Swords gets into belief and thinking and how you use ideas to solve things, solve conflicts, solve problems. The swords reversed in a 3 means that there's something that you're not yet able to put into effect. There's something you're not able to decide clearly. There's a confusion coming. So the main indicator here is that the high priest wants to speak to you. Your inner teacher, your inner voice wants to be heard. It wants its messages to be looked at and pondered. And only then will the energy of your creative power, your instincts, only then will it coalesce and be ready to influence what it is you put yourself to work at, to accomplish, and to arrive at a change in your thinking, a change in your habits over here. You want to get this back connected. You want it's almost like saying you want to allow your more woo-woo self. That word woo-woo. You want to allow your more esoteric, spiritual self to come out. That's what this priest, to come out. if there's something that you traditionally were attracted to, like burning incense, whatever it is, this card is saying, let that come up again. Connect with that. And then you will be able to turn these, and new ideas will come, new creative energy. And these new ideas are coming down the road. You have this creative energy. That's why it's here on the left. You have it. There's just a little delay going on. There's a little hiccup, bump in the road. But new ideas will open up. But it's all dependent on listening to this kind of odd, subtle voice that's trying to teach you something that's very on the spiritual level. It gets very religious with the high priest, clearly. But it doesn't have to be a specific religion. The card is not denominational. It's just, there are all kinds of priests in all kinds of religions. And it can be your own personal internal high priest that's trying to talk. So you need to revive spiritual side of yourself to bring back the happier side of yes, that's what the cards are saying. That is, and then that starts to have an effect on your creative energies and your entire thought process over here with the swords. And swords also, they're very mental, but they are also in the realm of belief. So they can definitely encompass spiritual beliefs and how those will change or become more important to you, because this card on the right is sort of what the reading wants you to get to. So some new ideas will come up over here. But this is the key here in this reading. This is the big one, the high priest. And again, all you have to do with a thing like this is just remember that one card. Oh yeah, the high priest. Yeah, there's messages. There's messages coming from somewhere that I really need to listen to. High priest. Yeah, what messages are those? You don't even have to know. It's just like Zen meditation. You sit down, you want to clear your mind, but thoughts keep popping in, and you've succeeded. You think the thoughts are not supposed to pop into your mind, but they do, and then you sort of dismiss them, but they pop in again, and you think, oh my God, I can't meditate. Actually, you have. You have meditated. You have succeeded by the very fact that you sat down to meditate and the thoughts came into your mind, and then you tried to dismiss them, and you wondered if you knew how to do this. You've done it. So just looking at the card and saying to yourself, high priest, what does that mean? You've already won. That's what many people don't understand about things like tarot and meditating. Just pulling the card out and looking at it, or just sitting down and trying to meditate, you've already won. People will try to make it more complicated. They always do. They want to confuse you, because when you're confused, you're more apt to buy their stuff, something. You're more apt to do something they want you to do. They don't want to say it's much easier than you think. And you don't even have to have a tarot deck to look at the High Priest card. All you have to do is remember High Priest card. And there you have it. Because if you just say High Priest card to yourself in the morning, you wake up, you have your little breakfast, and you just say High Priest card. Your inner mind is going to know what you mean. You're welcome. You're very welcome. And especially some of us can be so logical in our work, you know. We can work, and be very, very rational and reasonable and logical and precise and accurate and mathematical and blah, blah, blah. And we have to remember how fun, how important it is to stop at times and do the whole other thing, which is very subtle, very unconscious, and understand that little things that we do or say to ourselves, little offerings we make, like High Priest card, can have an enormous effect gradually under the surface. Oh, I need some more coffee. After all, this is tarot and coffee. I have to drink the coffee. I have this incense burner here, and I often can only burn incense for short periods of time, because I find that it's great initially, but then the smoke gets a little too much, you know, and it gets in my eyes, and I start to feel that slight discomfort. So I can only burn incense. Really, I'll burn it like usually just a little bit, like down, like here's the tip of this incense stick. I'll just burn it like, I don't know, an inch maybe at most, and then I'll shut it down. But I recently discovered those bottles that have like scented oil in them, and then you put like 6 or 7 of those sticks in, and that is amazing because it's a very gentle scent in a room without the smoke. Without the smoke. But sometimes it's weird. Sometimes you want the smoke because it's sort of more spiritual somehow. It's like you associate it, or I do, with spiritual things, with religious things. And so you want more of that wafting, you know, feeling in the air. So I can take it for about 15 minutes, the smoke. And then I'm like, nope, that's it. I'm going to wear these cards out with shuffling. So yeah, anyone who wants a reading, all you have to do is type the !join. I'm kind of pre-shuffling the deck, getting it ready in advance in case anybody wants to ask them something. I have orchids in the other room, and I'm trying to figure out how to give them orchid food properly so that the flowers don't drop off. And sometimes I put the orchid back here, as a little decoration thing. But orchids, I'm like, they're not that easy, really, for me. You have to water them in a special way. But they're really nice as a background. You get like one of those big pots with like 3 orchids in it. And it looks really good, like back against the. I have a screen back here. Yeah, orchids are, and I never know why. I'm like, why is the flower dropping off? What is going on? And I'm like, maybe they need more water. Or maybe it needs more light or less light. I never can figure it out. Maybe I should get like a daylight bulb and some kind of a light. Watching a tarot stream and 4 cards popped out. Sure, absolutely. So you have 4 cards that came out. Yep. Yeah, share them. I'm just maniacally shuffling. Okay. Justice, upright. 8 of Cups, upright. Hermit, reversed. Ace of Pentacles, upright. It somewhat depends on how you think of the layout, of course. Justice upright, of course, fair, balanced, considered approach to things. So fair, balanced, considered approach. 8 of Cups, there's a lot of... 8 has a whole... The very first thing about the 8 is the number itself, which is the symbol for infinity. And so there's enormous potential and opportunity behind the 8. But also the 8 of Cups, you're in the heart realm, and so there's work to do. There's considering of the feelings and focus on feelings there. So balanced approach, calm, considered approach, enormous sort of possibility going on in love. in your emotional life, but requiring focus and attention. Hermit reversed sort of indicates, not a great time to withdraw. A little bit of difficulty getting at clarity. And then Ace of Pentacles coming up at the end becomes very sort of open-ended possibilities for a lot of positive possibility physically and possibly with money. But so if you're looking at it from my impression, looking at it as sort of advice, like, okay, be calm and careful and considered. Pay attention to your feelings because there's enormous importance there and a heck of a lot of possibility. Don't necessarily withdraw, but keep your eye on being truthful. But it may be hard. It may be hard to figure out what's going on. But ultimately, the rising of energy and possibility in your life is going to be very significant. That's sort of how I see it, just from reading the words here. Larkana, I see you. Larkana. First time chat. Oh, who was the... I checked out someone's stream last night after I... what was... It was... Kelsa007 was here last night, and then I think that's, and then I checked out their stream and I was like, oh, cool. And yeah, without isolation. Yeah, I think you're right. Yep. And I saw one of our people from last night that was in here actually had a stream, and I didn't have much time. I had to run last night, but I was like, oh, that's, I know that name. And I watched the stream, and there was a co-stream going on, like two people doing the co-stream thing, which I don't even know how to do. But I was like, yeah, this is great. So it's like, that was nice. And then, so what I'll do is next time I have to go back, cause I had to shut everything down. But I'll definitely follow, because it was a good stream. King Arabian. Okay, type !join. And then you'll pop into the queue. Ah, Larkana, a reader from Twitch. Very good. I'll find your stream also. I'll be snooping around and trying to look at some streams in the next few days. There you go, King Arabians. You just popped in right now, and there you go. I think these cards are like super shuffled. Yeah, it's good to watch people, other streams and other tarot readers, because it's like everybody has such an individual thing, They all have like their own way, and it's like you never know how, like, you're going to be like, oh, wow, look at that. I never thought of that. People always have something that you just haven't seen in tarot. Yeah, totally different. So yeah, King Arabian. You can type your anything, whatever you're wondering about, and these cards are going to be so shuffled and ready that they're going to just literally leap out of the pile. Love life. Okay, here we go. Let's see what the cards have to say in general about love. Here we go. There's one. Oh, there's we go. They're coming out. There you go. Okay, so at the top of the hill here is the big sort of main concern that the cards want to sort of point at. Cups. 9 of Cups. Okay. 9. Good night, Vasha. Very good having you. Thank you very much. I'll talk to you soon. Have a good night. So, 9 of Cups gets you right at the edge of getting somewhere where you're done with something that's taken a while. You've gotten somewhere, perhaps in a relationship or toward a relationship, or it's just something about the way you approach love. It's the process of learning and coming to terms with the way you feel about love. And this 9 is where you're like, man, it's hard. I'm just not there. I can't seem to figure it out. That's why it's reversed. Because the 9 even right side up is about the difficulty of finishing something or understanding or coming to terms with something. When it's reversed, it compounds that difficulty, and it makes it so that you're hesitant to do the last bit of work to get there. You're hesitant, you're maybe tired, but you're kind of maybe wanting to back off a little bit. And so in the realm of relationships, this card can express itself in for instance, in you losing interest maybe in like meeting someone. It's discouragement. Okay? That's what this is talking about. Discouragement, some difficulty in the heart, in love. And it's here, but it's not too big a deal because it's a number card. It's not that big a deal. It's not going to last a long time. But it's just saying, okay, this is something we need to look at. Oh, but look here on the left, what pops in. It is a big card, the Empress. Now, the Empress here, you can see she has her throne out in nature. Behind her, she has a mountain. She's got the rain coming down. She's got all the growth, the natural growth around her little forest throne. But she is very much about the garden growing, love growing, love being spread around. But what she does is she offers that energy to the world. So what the cards are talking about here are, they're saying no matter what the difficulty you're having, what kind of discouragement you have in the area of love and the heart, there's this enormous nurturing strength inside you that you can tap into and share. And the idea is, by being the Empress, and this has nothing to do with whether you're a woman or a man, it's the same energy. The Empress energy is the gardener, the planter of seeds, the person who puts the fertilizer down, but she rules everything in health and prosperity. She makes every plant want to grow 3 times its size. She makes all the animals come around her just like an old cartoon, you know. She makes all things, all living creatures better. And that's what the cards are saying you have, and you don't have to worry about it anymore because that's part of you. And you can access that. And by accessing it and sharing it in this sort of open, loving way where you want to offer things to people to help, to make everybody feel better. That's the key. That's the key to turning the cups over so that you're able to deal with love, romance, relationship. You're able to give it this healthy, nurturing quality, but it all starts by tapping into that nurturing Empress feel in you where you're not worried about yourself. You turn your attention more out to the garden, and by offering and being more outwardly focused, you then make progress. And here we see the 3 of coins reversed. So what this is suggesting is that something in the practical world, physical world, is, because the 3 is very active and energetic, it's basically, the reading is saying, let's calm that down. Let's calm down the energy toward making things in practical life, in financial life, in business life, in the life of getting what we want. Let's ease up on that a little bit. Let's ease up. That's why it's reversed. It's reversed not in a negative way. It's reversed in a way it's saying, let's pay attention now to the Empress. Let's look here on something that we may have let drift away. We know we have that in us. Rest assured we have it. You can rest in this lovely armchair throne comfortably. And the idea is to meditate on being the nurturing, giving, open person who has complete confidence that it will all work out and everything will work out for the best, and love is going to be there because you are expressing love and you are supporting all the people around you. And when people see that, they feel better, and that's when love comes. That's when relationships improve, and it just opens all the doors. And so less concern with practical issues getting in the way over here. I believe that's what the reading is pointing toward. Oh, thank you, Lorcana. Yeah, the deck is... And the deck is, I'm shuffling it so much that the cards are loosening up a little bit. So they're getting easier to use. Thank you, King Arabian. I do these 3-card readings on stream because they fit streaming very well. But I also really like to do the big 10-card Celtic Cross readings, which I can do. What I'll do is on another day, I'll lift the camera focus. I'll pull the camera up a little bit so that I can get the space to lay out all the 10 cards. But a 10-card, the Celtic Cross reading is like the novel of tarot readings. Like, if you're going to do a 10-card Celtic reading for someone, probably you need to really devote half an hour at least to one reading, because it just gets so layered. And then you have to go through the reading but you have to go back and show how some of the cards in different positions influence each other and change each other a little bit. And so it becomes like a novel of tarot reading. And I sort of think of the Celtic cross reading as sort of fitting very large, complex situations somehow that have multiple people involved, like this person said this and that person said that, and this person, and they went here and then they came over here and now I don't know what to do. That's the kind of situation I sort of associate with Celtic cross. But I'll do one. Maybe this weekend, what I'll do is I'll adjust this little setup here and try and do an afternoon maybe of just long Celtic cross readings. So if I stream for 3 hours, I'll probably get like maybe 4 readings done. Let me see something, because there were other things on the tarot Reddit group. There's always something interesting in there that somebody's asking. Sometimes they post like individual readings on there. Here's somebody that says, I need help with making a decision. I want to hang a painting of a tarot card in my home, but I can't decide which one. If it were you, which card would you choose to decorate your space? Wow. I wonder which one I would choose. Huh. I might choose the Fool. Because, the Fool is the person that sets out on the road of tarot, sort of. I really like the Empress card, though. The fact that you got it in the reading, I really like that. That whole idea of making the garden healthy, it's a real good lesson in life. I think we're at a good point where I can wrap it up for this evening. I think we've hit some good points. I kind of like, the readings have been very sort of consistent, and we've had some really good questions and back and forth. I should probably wrap it up so I don't get too tired. And I should probably have a little dinner. I really don't think I should just finish this day on just a cup of coffee. So I'll do that. And then tomorrow's Thursday. I actually really like streaming on Thursday. I love doing tarot on Thursday, and I don't know why. So it would probably be a good idea to do that. So I think that's what I'll do. I'll come back tomorrow and do that. And we'll try to do a longer stream tomorrow. Probably what I'll do is I'll order food tomorrow and be real lazy, so I just have it right here. But this is great. So yeah, let me do that. Unless there's somebody that wants a reading real quick. Right now, I could do one more reading. I'm just feeling a little like I'm getting hungry. So if anyone there wants me to pop some cards out, I can do that. Oh, King Arabian. Yeah, absolutely. You come in here anytime you like. Sure. How does F feel about, oh, that looks like it wants. An old friend. There you go. Well, there's a 2 here. It's very physical. It's very practical. It's very real and earthy and important. And the 2 is a coming together. So right away, the reading is like, okay, there's 2 people here and there's no reason why they shouldn't get together. Why not? And there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of practical things to probably remember, and discuss. But, the coins are a very earthy, physical kind of thing. There's practical matters here. So why not get together? And here we have coins again, King of Coins. Kings are very authoritative and very able to make decisions. And this one's not so much. Maybe it's hard to decide how to do this. How do I make it clear that we should get together? Is there a holdup here? How do I know that they even want to? That's why the king is reversed here. Because but you don't have to worry about it so much because it's on the left. It's something that's understood about the nature of this situation. That's fine. It's expected. The primary concern, though, is that the cards are saying, yes, 2 things are coming together here, and that's as it should be. Oh, and then we get a confirmation of, look at this. The reading is all coins. Very physical, very practical. There could be some practical issues around getting together. Then again, it can be a very down-to-earth scenario, but what's going on here is, regardless of the difficulty of deciding here and being a little bit, what is the word here, the king reverse, a little ambivalent about how it would go or how to go about doing it. The fact is, there's an enormous potential here indicated in the Ace of Coins coming up, going forward. Enormous potential. It doesn't say what it leads to. The Ace doesn't know what it leads to yet, but it's there. Yeah, all coins. So take that as you will, but it's a very physical reading and could be very rewarding. And it's definitely in favor of it. It's just not telling you how it's going to be rewarding.